whispers. They dance on the edge of reality. They speak of a boy named Kafka. Kafka runs. He runs from a prophecy etched in shadow and blood. He flees a destiny he doesn't understand. Haruki Murakami, a weaver of dreams, a sculptor of words. He gifts us Kafka on the Shore, a symphony of the strange, a ballad of the lost. Kafka's journey is our own. We are all adrift in the sea of existence. This is not a tale for the faint of heart. It's a dive into the depths of human consciousness. A neon noir labyrinth of the soul. Buckle up. The ride is going to be rough. It will shake you, it will break you, and then it will put you back together. Different, changed. The city, a living thing. Breathing, pulsing, bleeding neon, towers pierce the sky, steel and glass giants. Below, shadows crawl, secrets hide in the darkness. This is Kafka's world now. He is 15, alone, a fugitive in his own life. His father's curse hangs over him, a dark cloud he cannot escape. Kafka seeks refuge in words, in the stories of others, he searches for his own. Libraries become his sanctuary, books his companions, he devours knowledge, anything to outrun the darkness nipping at his heels. But fate, like a stray cat, is hard to shake off. It rubs against your leg just when you think you're free. And then, it guides you, to places you never thought you'd go. Oshima, the enigmatic librarian. He sees things others don't. He recognizes the lost boy in Kafka, a kindred spirit, bound by invisible threads of destiny. The library becomes their shared haven, a place where stories collide, where the real and the unreal blur.
I see you, Kafka. You're not alone in this maze. We're both searching in our own ways.
Oshima becomes Kafka's guide, his mentor in this strange new world. He teaches Kafka about the labyrinth, the one they're both trapped inside, the labyrinth of the mind, of the heart.
There are doors, Kafka, doors we must open even if they terrify us.
But knowledge comes at a price. Sometimes it's better not to know. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, but it's too late for Kafka. He's already crossed the line. There's no turning back. The bus rumbles to a stop. Kafka steps out. The air is thick, heavy with the stench of exhaust and unfulfilled dreams. Above, neon signs bleed color into the night, a kaleidoscope of desire and despair. He clutches his backpack, his only companion. Inside, a few clothes, some money, and a worn copy of the Arabian Nights. His escape kit, his armor against the world. He walks, lost in the labyrinthine streets, each step an echo of his heartbeat. The city thrums around him, a living organism, indifferent to his fear, to his loneliness. He is just another face in the crowd, a ghost in the machine. He reaches into his pocket, fingers closing around the crumpled library card, his only lifeline, his ticket to another world. Kimura Memorial Library, a beacon in the urban sprawl. Kafka pushes open the heavy oak doors. Silence, a welcome contrast to the cacophony outside. The air smells of old paper and forgotten dreams. He approaches the librarian's desk. A young woman looks up. Her eyes are tired, haunted by stories untold. He shows her his card, a flicker of recognition, or maybe just pity. She points him towards the stacks, a labyrinth within a labyrinth. He runs his fingers along the spines. Each book a world waiting to be discovered. He finds solace in the whispered promises of adventure, of escape. He loses himself in tales of distant lands, of mythical creatures, of love and loss. For a few precious hours he is not running, he is flying. Days turn into weeks. The library becomes Kafka's sanctuary, his home away from home. He spends his days reading, his nights wandering the city streets, observing, learning its rhythms, its secrets. He befriends the stray cats that roam the alleys. They are his only companions. They understand his loneliness, his need for silence. They don't judge him. They don't ask questions he doesn't have answers to. One day he discovers a hidden nook on the top floor of the library, a small, forgotten room with a window overlooking the city. He claims it as his own, his secret hideaway, his fortress of solitude. He brings a blanket and a pillow. He even finds a discarded radio. He listens to music. He reads, he thinks. About his life, about his future, about the prophecy that hangs over him like a guillotine. The Girl with the Crows appears one rainy afternoon. Kafka is in his hideaway, lost in a book. He hears a noise, a soft, melodic sound. He looks up. She is standing in the doorway. Her hair is black as night. Her eyes are deep pools of secrets. She holds a crow feather in her hand. She smiles, a sad, knowing smile.
My name is Sakura. I know you. I know about the prophecy.
Kafka closes his book. He looks at her. He doesn't know whether to trust her, but he knows he can't look away. This is the start of something. He can feel it in his bones, something dangerous, something life-changing, something inevitable. Nakata, a simple name, an ordinary face, but beneath the surface, a universe of strangeness. Struck by lightning as a child, he came back different. His mind, a rewiring project gone awry. He couldn't read, couldn't count. But he could talk to cats, understand their meows and purrs, their flicked tails and narrowed eyes. They were his confidants, his guides in a world that made no sense. One day, a sleek black cat spoke of a prophecy, a boy named Kafka, a destiny intertwined with their own. Nakata listened. His heart, though simple, understood the weight of such words. He set out on a journey, guided by whispers on the wind, by the meows of stray cats. His path, a meandering line through the urban jungle, leading him towards the unknown, towards Kafka. Nakata's world was one of small things, of sunbeams on pavement, of the rustle of leaves in a concrete park. He collected lost things, buttons missing their shirts, lonely coins dropped on the sidewalk. Each object held a story, a forgotten moment. He kept them safe. A curator of the discarded. He lived a simple life, kindness his only currency. He helped where he could. He listened to the stories of stray cats, settled disputes between sparrows on a telephone wire. His days were quiet, peaceful, until the black cat appeared, urgency in its yellow eyes. The prophecy was calling. Nakata, the unlikely hero, had to answer. Kafka found solace in the library's silence, in the musty smell of aging paper. But the city's chaos seeped in through the cracks, the neon glow reflecting in his sleepless eyes. He dreamt of twisting alleys, of shadowed figures whispering his name. The prophecy was a weight on his chest. He couldn't outrun it. He didn't even understand it. Sakura, the girl with the crows, came and went like a phantom. Her visits, a strange comfort. She spoke in riddles, her words, cryptic clues leading him deeper into the labyrinth. One day, she handed him a worn photograph. Two children standing in front of a stone wall, a boy and a girl, their faces blurred, lost to time. "Find them," she whispered. "They hold the key." Section 4, Convergence. The city, a tapestry of interconnected lives, strands of fate weaving together, unseen forces pulling Kafka and Nakata towards their shared destiny. Kafka followed the clues in the photograph, each step leading him further from the familiar, deeper into the city's underbelly, into a world of neon-lit bars and shadowed doorways. Nakata, guided by the black cat, followed a different path. His journey, a series of chance encounters, of small acts of kindness repaid in unexpected ways, each step bringing him closer to the heart of the mystery. Unbeknownst to them, their paths were converging, drawn together by the invisible hand of fate, towards a confrontation that would change everything. The photograph felt like a brand, a searing mark on Kafka's soul. The children in the picture haunted his waking hours, their hollow eyes mirrors reflecting his own fear. The library, his once safe haven, now felt suffocating, driven by a need to outrun the ghosts of his past. The city unfolded before him, a labyrinth of concrete and steel. The air, thick with the stench of exhaust and broken dreams. Sakura's words echoed, "Find the library. It holds the answers you seek." The city was filled with them, cathedrals of knowledge, each guarding their secrets. He stumbled upon it by chance, tucked away on a forgotten side street. A weathered sign read, Komura Memorial Library, Special Collections. The name sent a shiver down his spine. It was the same name as the library in the photograph. The woman behind the counter looked ancient. Her face, a roadmap of wrinkles etched by time and hardship. Her eyes, though, were sharp, piercing through Kafka's facade of indifference. He showed her the photograph. Her breath hitched. "You shouldn't have come here," she rasped, her voice dry as autumn leaves. "This place, it holds nothing but shadows and regrets." Kafka stood his ground. He had come too far to be deterred by cryptic warnings. "I need to know," he insisted, his voice barely a whisper. "The people in this picture, who are they?" A flicker of something akin to sadness crossed the librarian's face. She gestured him forward. "Come," she sighed. "This story, it's not mine to tell, but perhaps together we can make sense of its twisted path." The air in the archives was heavy with the smell of dust and decay. Rows upon rows of ancient books lined the shelves, their spines cracked and faded. Kafka felt a sense of unease creep up his spine. This place was a graveyard of forgotten memories. The librarian led him to a secluded corner where a single lamp illuminated a table piled high with leather-bound volumes.
This is the Komura family archive. Generations of their history are contained within these pages.
With trembling hands, she opened one of the books. Yellowed pages crackled in protest. The scent of aged paper filled the air. Kafka leaned closer, his eyes scanning the faded ink. The words were written in a language he didn't recognize.
These are diaries kept by the family patriarch many years ago.
She pointed to a passage marked with a faded ribbon.
This is where your story, their story, begins.
The diary spoke of a love forbidden, a young man, heir to the Komura legacy, and a woman from a world beneath his station. Their love, a transgression against societal norms. Their punishment, exile and heartbreak. The children in the photograph were their offspring, torn apart by the sins of their parents, lost in a world that refused to acknowledge their existence. The diary ended abruptly, leaving Kafka with more questions than answers. He was standing on the precipice of a truth too terrible to ignore. The prophecy was not just about him, it was about the enduring power of love and loss, about the echoes of the past that reverberate through generations. He had opened a door that could never be closed, and he knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that his journey was far from over. The air in the archive hung heavy, thick with dust and forgotten words. Kafka stared at the faded diary entry. The prophecy, his prophecy. It wasn't a curse, it was a story of love, of loss, of sacrifice. His father's words echoed in his ears.
"You will kill your father and marry your mother."
The words that had driven him to run, to abandon his life, to seek refuge in the anonymity of the city. He had misjudged his father, misunderstood the prophecy. It wasn't a literal command, it was a metaphor. A warning about the cyclical nature of fate, about the echoes of the past that reverberate through generations. He thought of Sakura, the girl with the crows, her cryptic warnings, her sad, knowing smile. Did she know all along? Did she lead him here, to this moment of truth, to this shattering revelation? Kafka looked at the photograph again. The children's faces, once blurry, now seemed to come into focus. He saw his own reflection in the boy's eyes, the same fear, the same confusion, the same yearning for answers. He thought of Nakata, the man who spoke with cats, his journey, his connection to the prophecy. They were two sides of the same coin, two souls bound together by fate, drawn together by forces beyond their comprehension. The city, once a labyrinth of indifference, now felt charged with meaning. Every neon sign, every shadowed alleyway, every stray cat seemed to hold a clue, a piece of the puzzle that was his life. He wasn't just running anymore, he was searching for his place in the world, for his connection to the past, for the truth that lay hidden beneath layers of time and memory. Meanwhile, Nakata sat in the park, the black cat nestled beside him. He couldn't read the words in the prophecy, but he felt their weight, their pull on his soul. He had a destiny to fulfill. He thought of the boy the cat had spoken of, the boy named Kafka. He didn't know his face, but he felt a connection to him, a kinship, as if their fates were intertwined. The library had always been a place of comfort for Nakata, a place of peace and quiet, a place where he could escape the noise and chaos of the city. He knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that he had to go there. He rose from the bench. The black cat stood beside him. Its yellow eyes glowed in the fading light. "Lead the way," Nakata whispered. And the cat, as if understanding his words, padded silently into the gathering darkness. Kafka closed the diary. The weight of its revelations pressed down on him. He had found some answers, but more questions had emerged. The past was a tangled web, and he was caught in its silken threads. He thought of his father, his mother, the secrets they had kept hidden, the pain they had endured. The prophecy wasn't a curse, it was a burden passed down from one generation to the next. He had a choice to make. He could run, hide from the truth, pretend that none of this had ever happened, or he could face his destiny, confront the past, and try to break the cycle of fate. He looked at the old librarian. Her eyes, though filled with sadness, held a glimmer of hope.
"What do I do now?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The librarian smiled. "The choice, Kafka Tamara," she said, "has always been yours."
The library door creaked open. Nakata stood there, bathed in the harsh neon glow of the city. His eyes, usually vacant, held a strange intensity. The black cat slunk in behind him, a shadow given form. Kafka stared. He knew this man, not from his life, but from the depths of his subconscious, from the tangled threads of fate that had brought them together. The air crackled with unspoken recognition. The prophecy's pull, tangible now, tugged at them both. This wasn't chance. This was destiny. The old librarian, a silent witness to their meeting, gently closed the ancient diary. Some stories, once begun, cannot be contained. They spoke without words, their souls battered and bruised, reaching out to each other across the gulf of their vastly different lives. In that shared silence, they found a strange solace, a recognition of their shared burden. Memories, fragmented and sharp, flooded Kafka's mind. His father's face contorted in pain, the bloodstains on his mother's white dress, the suffocating weight of the prophecy he never understood. Nakata, his mind a jumble of sensory overload, felt the echoes of those same memories. Not his own, but absorbed, sponge-like from the world around him. He saw glimpses of a life he never lived, felt the sting of tears he never cried. The prophecy, once a cryptic riddle, now unfurled before them like a poisonous flower. Its beauty, undeniable. Its danger, palpable. They were caught in its web, and the only way out was through. The old librarian, her eyes filled with a lifetime's worth of sorrow, placed a hand on each of their shoulders. "The past is a cruel master," she whispered, her voice raspy with age. "But it doesn't have to define you. You have the power to choose your own path." The weight of the prophecy, though heavy, began to lift. Understanding, like a cleansing rain, washed over Kafka. He wasn't destined to repeat his father's sins. He was meant to break the cycle. He looked at Nakata, a silent plea for understanding in his eyes. Nakata, his simple mind grappling with the complexities of human emotion, nodded slowly. He may not have understood the words, but he felt the shift in the air. The prophecy wasn't a cage. It was a bridge connecting two lost souls, offering them a chance at redemption. They had a choice to make, to succumb to the darkness of the past or to step into the unknown together. With a deep breath, Kafka reached out and took Nakata's calloused hand. In that single touch, a silent vow was made. They would face their destiny, not as victims, but as survivors. Kafka on the Shore is more than just a story. It's a journey into the darkest corners of the human psyche, a neon-drenched exploration of fate, identity, and the power of human connection. Murakami, with his signature blend of surrealism and stark realism, leaves us breathless. His characters, flawed and searching, stay with us long after the book is closed. We are left to ponder the nature of our own existence, to question the stories we tell ourselves and the paths we choose. And in a world obsessed with logic and reason, Murakami reminds us of the power of the unknown, the magic that exists in the spaces between words. Kafka on the Shore is a testament to the enduring power of storytelling, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always the possibility of redemption, always the chance to write our own ending.